All right, folks, good evening, welcome. It's a Friday, December the 21st, so leaves us with 4 odd days to go to Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. On the program this evening, organized labor threatens strike, gives December 31st deadline for sending of draft bill on new national minimum wage to the National Assembly. NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, puts Nigeria's unemployment rate at 23.1%. It says 20.9 million Nigerians now jobless. Gunmen kill 35 in fresh Zamfara attack. And later on, this one. Think about it. Mental disorder on the rise as Yaba Psychiatric Hospital records 50% increase in patients. I'm hanging out with Charles Ideho, the man in red. I greet you.
Thank you. Glad to be here one more time.
Oh, this must be your Christmas.
My Christmas dress? Okay.
No, did I add dress?
No, okay, preamble.
Okay, it's all right. Ishmael Omikwedon is here.
My pleasure.
He's getting used to Christmas.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Now, we expect Emeka Madunagu to join us, but then let's set out because the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, you know, a situation weary country like our own must be cautious of the intentions of organized labor, good or evil. The news is that the body has put the federal government on notice concerning another round of strike. The deadline is December the 31st, that is next Monday week. Rising from a joint meeting of the 3 unions, that's the NLC, the TUC, and ULC on Thursday in Lagos, organized labor demanded a transmission of the decision of the tripartite committee report on the 30,000 naira minimum wage to the National Assembly. The December the 31st deadline was provoked by President Muhammadu Buhari's 2019 budget presentation to the plenary of the National Assembly. Ishmael, are we face to face with a mutually conflicting situation, what we call a catch-22?
I think it is, and on my way here, I was telling the man who drove the vehicle that brought me here that, look, I hope that the APC administration is not trying to precipitate crisis for themselves, for which they may not be able to get out of it before the election. I say so because Labour had asked for 60,000 naira or thereabout. There were negotiations, forth and back, and at the end of the day, there was an agreement. About 2 months ago, and I recall very well that when that report was being submitted, it was submitted alongside a draft bill. And so for you to now say you are setting up another high-powered, in quote, technical committee, I ask myself, what is the technical committee about to do?
So that you don't borrow money to pay the national minimum wage.
They ought to have emphasized that before now, and we have always said it here, that look, in as much as we believe that it is a law in our constitution that this thing had to be reviewed, in fact, it ought to have been reviewed by 2015 or thereabout. 16 or thereabout. Now, in as much as we believe that there is also a law in our constitution that talks about national minimum wage, personally, I believe very strongly that it is not realizable. However, because it's a law, we must not run away from it for now. Now, if you not satisfy that portion of the law, then you can now set machinery in motion to see how we can get out of it, probably in the future, but not now. Not now, because the law is there to be obeyed. And from the beginning, it was the federal government who first came out to say it can pay the 30,000 naira. States were dilly-dallying. Some were proposing 23, some were proposing 22. But at the end of the day, they all came to
24.
And at the end of the day, they all came to 30,000 naira. And so and I recall very well that once the report came out, the first statement from the presidency was that Buhari has not agreed to that 30,000 minimum wage. It provoked some level of debate, and people will say, well, it is correct that because it is not Buhari who will approve by the National Assembly. And the next thing they said was that they will set machineries in motion to make the National Assembly take charge of the situation. Now, having told us that about 2 months ago, to now turn around to tell us that a high power committee, I don't know what the high power committee wants to look into. It will be in the best interest of the government.
Do as I'm doing, wait and watch and wait for
to accede to what they had agreed.
Yeah. Charles, how do you open?
Well, mine is that I really don't envy the APC-led government at this point, particularly as the elections are upon us. These are
58 days to go.
Yeah, these are trying times, and of course, the period is not where you can play macho. The APC government cannot play macho now. It will do that at its own peril and at the peril of the economy. Why do I say so? This issue of they want to look at the modalities, to work out the modalities on how it will not increase the level of borrowing. There's no way we won't borrow. The economy already is having problem. We are earning less, and because our earnings are dwindling. We also heard in the news that whereas we are supposed to be producing 2.3 million barrels of per day oil.
2.3.
2.3, but the OPEC has not given us a benchmark of 1.8. So we already have a shortfall, a deficit of 0.5. And if you calculate that by $60 to a barrel, you see how much you're going to be losing. So there's no way we will not borrow. If government must go ahead to pay what it has agreed to pay, just as Obido has said, which is also a statutory provision, which of course is binding on all parties. The government will look for that money. Because Labour, as we speak, Labour seems to be having all the aces, our government having none. But how do we get out of this quagmire? In my estimation, in my estimation, government appears not to have any at all.
There's an underlying current here.
Okay.
Why must organized labor resort to a strike action?
Well,
we'll keep debating this.
The truth is this.
Yeah.
From history, it appears that is the only language the government understands. Check it.
Okay, here or universally?
You know, in Nigeria generally.
Okay.
Before the warning strike, you know how long Labour was shouting until they embark on that warning strike.
Before they were called to round table.
So they had waited for this long, waiting for the Mr. President to present his budget to see if the 30,000 million.
So what will be the problem now? Because in his budget presentation, he said he was going to send an executive bill to the National Assembly.
Yes.
I don't know how soon or how late, to deliberate on the matter of the national minimum question. Minimum wage question.
But the thing was, it's already in existence. The bill is already there.
The bill had been drafted.
It was
submitted along with the report. Now, if the executive has any issue with the bill, I thought what they should have done was probably to call the leadership of the organized labor. This is a draft bill, but we have issue with A, B, C, D.
Yes,
how do we go about it? But you didn't say anything to anybody. You kept everybody, in the dark until now. You are now saying that you want to send the executive bill. At the same time, you say you want to. These are two conflicting arrangements for now.
I'm fighting to believe.
And the only weapon Labour has is to embark on strike.
No, If government defers to Labour and says, okay, we admit, we agree, but they play a waiting game until after the election.
That is what Labour is expecting. That is why Labour has given a date that, look, send this thing
on or before,
or we embark on strike.
So Labour calls people out on strike. Nigerians are ready to go on strike?
I think for now, look, I know that in recent years,
ASU is on.
Yeah, ASU is on. In recent years, Labour has not been very popular amongst the people. That's granted, because a couple of times they have they have called out strike. They were, by my own estimation, also not too successful because people say, oh, this one we have been doing, have been good. But when you're looking at what some of people are thinking that even government itself also is having problem of perception as we speak. If we now juxtapose this perception and the Labour holding the government by the jugular as we speak, you know that Labour might be having people to agree to what they're saying.
Let me introduce a different element into this discussion, gentlemen. I hear in the case of the National Assembly, it's because President did not play ball by bringing cash.
Conspiracy theory?
Or something like that.
Okay.
Isn't that also playing out here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You see, I have covered the National Assembly very well. And I tell people, when you talk about lobbying, lobbying does not necessarily entail going to bribe lawmakers with money.
In Africa? No, just say, please qualify it.
I am speaking based on my experience covering the National Assembly.
You may not have been there when bread
No,
will
they
exchange.
give money, no doubt.
Oh, they do?
They do, but I'm saying that it is not always about giving money.
Okay.
It's about relationship. It's about establishing relationship. It's about according them their due respect.
The APC governorship candidate for Enugu State, Senator, I forgot his name.
Ayogwezi. Yes.
He's saying why some of his colleagues were booing the president was because he didn't play ball.
Okay,
I wonder what Ayogwezi would have said if he was in the National Assembly.
But he's not.
No, that's what I'm saying. And you see, for him to say that,
Yeah.
he's been unfair to his colleagues.
Was it a matter of conjecture or he had his facts? We need to look at it. Does he have
the money
facts?
for what? Has Buhari given anybody money from 2015 to now to pass budget?
He never did.
Was he booed between 2015 and now?
Let's expand the debate in her book.
Okay.
Controversial or I don't know how.
Whatever.
Yeah, she said fighting corruption is dangerous.
That's a good way.
She said specifically in 2015 they paid 17 or so billion to the National Assembly members to get the budget passed.
That money
so
they
you
pay.
can take
that money they pay.
Ishmael, you can take that to the deal with the Labour.
That money they pay is not as in pay cash. For instance, you know what they do? What they do is this. You see, this is their constituency project. Unfortunately, too, a lot of the lawmakers
Ishmael, don't polish it. Bread exchange, whether electronically or otherwise.
Let me
I won't say what I don't know.
Okay.
I am saying for the fact that, yes, I agree that in some instances, there are some of them who are corrupt, who collect money before a thing is done. Just like we also have in the executive arm.
Yeah.
People who collect money to offer employment. We have them there. But there are also others who don't need to collect money before they do their job. That is the point I'm making. And so it would be unfair to now generalize and say it is because you do not give them money.
Generalizing here. I'm saying vis-a-vis Labour.
No,
Charles, when you said earlier on, Labour had been compromised over time.
Yes,
what do you understand that to mean?
Well, what I understand, no, even if you want to even fast forward to this present period we are in, it will even pay the National Assembly to even help Labour to expedite action because they also getting this bill to be passed expedited. We also have them to be on the side of Labour.
The point is also
the
point is making is that is it possible if Buhari had reached out to Labour, Ghana must go wise?
No, it's not likely. It is not likely.
Or lobby.
Am I?
No, it's not likely. It's not. If
you have no right to think for me. But mine is just to lay the cards
if it were so, Labour will not be as headstrong as it is as we speak.
That is true.
If there had been any likelihood of money exchanging,
Labour
wouldn't have been headstrong.
Labour could have been induced, the strings like a puppet. The puppeteer is somewhere.
From National Assembly?
No, from many quarters. The truth is this. The truth is this. If the government allow Labour to go on strike, I bet you politics will come in because opposition will capitalize on it. The same way APC did when PDP was in power. And the thing will go out of hand. So it is the interest of the government to do anything possible to avert this strike.
Where we are now, it will pay APC better in order to also ensure that it gives them
play ball.
to play. Well, I don't know what you mean by play ball. Anyway, I don't know that language.
Play ball. Keep it on the table. Spread
what
it
I'm
out.
saying,
Cross the T's.
Okay, this is not. But
dot the
let me
I's.
say whether it's play ball. You might say. What I'm saying first is that it will pay APC better for them to have fortunes in the forthcoming election if they decide to go about having this bill sent to the National Assembly. Automatically, the rating of this government will soar. The rating of the president will soar because it is easy to please Nigerians, especially Labour. If you say Labour, we are paying you $30,000.
And once they send it to National Assembly, it meets the neck of the executive.
Oh, come on! Applause.
We will not face the lawmakers.
Applause.
Okay.
You understand? You will not face the lawmakers.
It will pay APC better.
All right. As we begin to take it home, I thought at this time in our evolution, we would have been over and done with the question of a national minimum wage. Quickly, we can talk to the executive and governors, the 36 states, and size of government. Yes. Delta State, there's no Delta man here, so I feel safe to say.
They're my cousins anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Ishmael Charles, Delta State, the governor, I can say it on network TV, has close to 3,000 aides. And these aides are not on minimum wage. And they are not owed. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because the money that comes already from first line charge.
Now,
really?
Yeah, you can explain that.
Now, you see, if you recall, the last time we discussed this thing, I said it clearly that even 45,000 naira, Nigerian government can pay, governors can pay, if they cut some of the waste.
Yeah.
They cut the waste, and you see, again, that also leads to this issue of restructuring they are talking about. Look, there is no state in this country that has not been blessed with natural resources. But because we are operating what the Deputy Senate President called feeding bottle federalism, where they go to Abuja every month to collect money, nobody is willing to develop those natural resources.
No, not because nobody is no. See,
That's
not
what
because
the
of
law
that.
says.
Because the laws, the thing has.
That's what the law
thing
says.
is in the exclusive list
That
of
is-
the
it's the same
constitution.
thing. It's the same thing.
Except they
Ishmael,
amend that aspect of the.
66 items on the exclusive
It's
list.
the same thing.
You need to divest the central government of these. By
Yes, exactly.
The
Reducing-
National Assembly can do something.
They can.
If the executive
They can.
will not send a bill.
Yeah, they can.
Yes.
They can.
And I hope this makes sense here. Decree number 8, promulgated by the Gowon government of 1966, invoked the unitary system of government on this country.
Yes.
It has not been abrogated. I'm sorry.
Even the federalism we're talking about, they are all these quasi for the federalism as they say in America.
Please let the debate continue. Ours is just to provoke them and help you make up your mind. Okay, then, when we return, we'll take on the next subject matter. Don't go away. All right, folks, just before we get cracking, let's welcome the number 4 leg. He's here, Emeka Madonagu. Emeka, this is not yapping you. Being here at this table is akin to the parable of the 10 virgins. I stopped there, but welcome. Okay.
Well, it depends on the book where the virgins are.
Okay, then. Perhaps seriously now, perhaps the most vulnerable members of the Nigerian Federation today are the hordes of jobless men and women, boys and girls who roam the streets of Nigeria as we speak. And this dangerous phenomenon is a superb catalyst for the high rate of crime and criminality in the country. The Statistician General of Nigeria, Dr. Yemi Kale, has put a frightening figure to our unemployment rate. According to him, a man says that unemployment in the country's fourth quarter of 2018 rose from 17.6 to a grating 23.01%. Now, broken down to figures, at least 20.9 million of our people have no jobs. The army of the unemployed in our environment was not recruited, but incubated. Never too late to do something about this? Never too late?
Well, the thing is, when I saw the report yesterday, what I did was to quickly do a check of what we had previously. And from the sources I consulted, I realized that the rate of unemployment as released recently is the highest in the last 8 years or thereabout, with the lowest being about 5.10%. That was in the fourth quarter of 2010. You know, although over time the government have been insisting that it is creating jobs, you know, and
Succeeding governments.
Succeeding government,
will tell you they are creating jobs,
including
yeah.
the present government.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are things we see that obviously show that yes, really, jobs are being lost by the day. For example, from the day they announce whether it's a merger, whether it's acquisition, whatever you call it, I was telling some of my friends, I said, a lot of people will lose their jobs again. Because with those two banks coming together, certainly one of the MDs will give way, all the EDs will give way, and even the cashiers, those
will give way.
lower, by the time those ones leave again, they will add to this. They will add to this number, you know, of
I'm sorry. When governor said we will pay 30, we'll be able to pay 30,000 naira.
Will be unable.
Okay. We'll be able to pay 30,000 on one condition: we shed weight.
That's downsizing.
Yeah.
That's the way romanticizing.
That's also another
You're
angle.
romanticizing on
well, you see, the truth is, each time they talk about shedding weight, for me, I see some hypocrisy in it, because which weight are you shedding? Is it the political appointees, where you have, look, in some offices, you have like 5 special assistants.
Ishmael, you could have been one.
Well, I was one in the past.
Okay. You were.
But they didn't shed you.
You're not,
It was okay while it lasted.
No, I'm not justifying it. I'm saying, I've always said it, that look, if we shed these political appointees, there's no reason we should not pay what. And
in addition to ghosts.
Again, too, there are a lot of people who are just in offices doing nothing.
Yeah.
For God's sake. Those ones, I mean, you can get them something to do. And who says we must all work for government? Who says? Government should, you know, encourage.
But you are told government job is pensionable, so better make you work
there's
there.
also security too.
Security is
Yes.
there.
Look, but mine is
I was discussing with the former chief of naval staff, Jibrin Anila. He said, look, those, is it Togolese or who do this
ties and
whatever. There are some of them who do this thing well and better than some bank managers.
Of course. Oh, sure.
They
That is
do.
true. I agree.
So what are we talking about?
That's vocation.
So instead of
No,
allowing
that's
foreigners
not
to take
every
over,
day. They don't work every day of the week.
They also don't.
Just within a period.
instead of allowing these
periodically.
foreigners to take over these jobs, why don't we
Why
set
are
up
Nigerians
because of certification.
and
Yes.
encourage
Yes.
our people to go
Charles,
into
in
the
dealing with this, let me take you quickly to Kaduna State. The governor of Kaduna went to a particular office, I've forgotten now, you know the story. 14 drivers, 7 vehicles. He laid off 7. Proper thing to have done?
Yeah, property boss. How would you have? Is it a 2 drivers to a vehicle? 2 drivers to a single vehicle? How we go? I mean, we don't have two steering wheels per vehicle.
I said it, reminded you of this because he mentioned those extra tires.
No,
Yes,
You don't
but
need.
that's a perfect example of right sizing.
God bless you.
Right sizing. What you do is that you create a system where you put 1 person per whatever, not 2 people, and then you don't have extra tires as you call it. But the question you asked him earlier is that, is it too late? And I would want to say no.
It's not too late.
Why I say it's not too late is that it's a matter of government being creative, and also knowing that the business of government is to make sure that they make life meaningful to the citizenry. I was reading somewhere that in the first 2 years of Trump's, people will say, well, we always go to America. Of course, we copied our democracy from them. Trump's government, through policies,
Besides,
it was able...
Your cousin is American. Go on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So within the first 2 years of his government, he was able to, through policies, create 65 million jobs. Through policies. They even said that they were even looking, but because of his anti-African sentiment, the sentiment...
Anti-immigration.
Anti-immigration, okay.
Anti-African.
Anti-immigration. They were looking for about 5 million persons outside America to fill up those places.
Yeah.
So how was he able to do that? Because, as I said, it is about policy. We could look at the informal sector of the country, which is, of course, you had the largest employment. Okay, the pepper seller, the Maggi seller, and so on. How have we been able to tap into that sector? Which is why I thank the Lagos State government for this Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. I know of people who have been given 250,000 naira. People have been given 500,000 naira to set up little industries here where they can also, and the government, this Lagos State government is encouraging them to employ people. So when you now absorb about 2 or 3 people, about 10 from the labor market, you are creating employment. So because of the issue of this profligacy in government, we must have to deal with that so that part of the money can go to the informal sector.
Quickly, Emeka, let me come from a different tangent. I'm saying unemployment didn't start day before yesterday. Over 400 textile factories in this country shut down. Why? No power. And we are saying conservatively, each of them employed no less than 5,000. So you are 5,000 times 400. If you gave us electricity, won't much of our problems be solved?
Yeah, we cannot continue talking about electricity in general terms. Even the current minister, Fashola, has actually even said it. We can't just continue talking about generating power, running it over the national grid and distributing it. There must be more creative ways of getting this power out, because part of the problem is that we have power which could meet the nation's needs to a large extent, but
generated,
evacuating
but the problem is
evacuating and distributing it. So a lot is lost. So we need
lost to what?
No, because of the long distances, because of a lot of problems in the system, obsolete equipment and all of that. So we need to now begin to look at off-grid solutions. Look at things like solar, look at things, other options.
Non-renewable.
Yes,
renewable energy.
So that we don't continue.
Wind, solar.
All of it. Even biomass. Waste, potatoes. And all
look at the solutions here.
So that we don't continue to run around this electricity debate. It's also necessary that we carry out real reforms in a number of sectors. Look at the ports. I know of a company, a manufacturing concern, that just laid off 150 casual workers. Why? Because its containers have been stuck at the ports. Now, this is Christmas. And this is a company whose goods should actually, be sold during this time.
Anolawoyi has joined us from Ondo State. Good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening, sir.
I greet you.
Yes, thank you for the job well done that you are doing there.
Thank you.
Please, my contribution is that in unemployment, the problem we have in Nigeria is a big problem. What we can do is that please you can help us, the government to help us, because unemployment is causing problem in Nigeria now. It's creating some kind of insecurity, because if there's employment for our youth, they will not be going into this kind of social vices. It creates a lot of job for Yahoo boys and all those things, not to find a way to survive. Please, I think the government needs to do something on this issue, just in order to bring peace to the country.
All right.
So that's what I have. Thank
being
you.
creative, Emeka,
I said
being on us.
The port reforms, for instance, the PIG bill, You know, then we also need to look at our educational curriculum. Okay. How does it prepare children from when they step into school? How does it prepare them to contribute to the country?
And
is it just about producing certificates or skills?
Yeah, without meaning to interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
Of the 20.9
million.
How many of them are employable? Because we must also factor employability into the figure.
No, I think also when we talk about this issue of employability, I think some commentators are not really being charitable. They're just trying to play to the gallery. Because the issue of employability is this. If a man is willing to work, he can be trained. He can, you know, his skills can be adapted.
Which brings me to the education curriculum.
Exactly.
Curriculum. You know, but if what we're doing is just churning out graduates,
who have no training for vocation.
Yes, vocation. Mm-hmm. And then the other day, I just got interested in this story about how China lifted 800 million people out of poverty within a period. And I was even reading a story, you know, the World Bank, the president of the World Bank was even saying that that is a model for even the World Bank. That is an economic miracle. So I think we need to study this. And one of the things China did was that it ensured access to education and health to remote areas. So what we need to do is this. Even the agricultural sector, we must not just dwell on agriculture. We must now transform it into agro-processing so that we can get a lot of, the value chain can be expanded.
For instance,
but the major problem is here. The major problem here, like I said, is the will. You find it's unfortunate a lot of Nigerian youths are not willing to work. They are not willing to be apprentices.
That's it. They are not ready to.
It's sad. So that is what.
That's it.
At the same time, gaming companies are increasing. Betting centers are increasing. Now, what is going on? Where is the money for betting and all these schemes coming from? Whereas you go all over the place, different cities, you see young men hanging around corners from morning till evening, doing nothing.
We must move on. But I dare say, gentlemen, you cannot clamp unemployment into a jail, you know.
Yes.
The army of unemployed was produced by us.
Yeah. By the system.
By the system.
And population growth is also
the system will also work to make sure we take them off the streets.
Please don't just, what we are saying, the summary is, don't just talk about unemployment. Are you employable? Are you employable? Think about that. Okay, take you to Zamfara State in Nigeria's northwest, which was never a theater of blood by any stretch of the imagination. It started gaining notoriety early in the year, and today it has uncannily become a killing field, no thanks to a band of marauding gunmen. The latest attack was reported on Thursday in Birnin Magaji local government area of the state. Armed men opened fire indiscriminately on farmers while harvesting. These coordinated attacks are as blood-curdling as those of the dreaded Boko Haram insurgency. How did we get here?
Incidentally, I was in Zamfara from Thursday to
this last
Sunday
one.
morning. This last one, I just left, and I was in a banking hall when somebody identified me, and he excused me. I got later to know that the guy is a top security chief, you know, and he appreciated the program, and he said he was willing to discuss with me. So we went. I told him where I was staying, and he came around 9 p.m. And he confessed to me that as security operative, they should also take part of the blame. That because when this thing started in 2011, they did little or nothing.
To curb it.
According to him, that if I recall very well, Zamfara, yes. That if I recall very well, when they were trying to dislodge Mahmoud Shinkafi was Yerima's deputy from 1999 to 2007. Now, Mahmoud Shinkafi became governor from 2007 to 2011. But before 2011, he defected to PDP. And so they wanted him out at all costs. According to him, he said it was during the electioneering. Some of the political actors imported these people, they actually brought them in
across the borders.
outside the country. But unfortunately, after winning the election, they didn't settle them, they didn't rehabilitate them. As a matter of fact, one of them, the one that was killed, the one that is called Buhari Daji, is a relative of a top government official. A relative of a top government official. The Buhari Daji that was killed by one of his men recently, you know. And he said that even the political actors who wants to take over, they are no better than the man who is there. That's according to him, you know. And I asked him, why is it difficult for security operatives to work now? He told me that there is also economies of war. For example, we said before the crisis started, police was getting 3 million, SSS 2.5. But since the crisis started...
When you say police, one man?
No, as
no,
in
the police.
The police.
Okay.
The police from the state government. And that by...
To augment.
To augment. And that by the time this crisis started, police had gone to, I think, about 10 million. Then SSS too, I think, about 7 or so. Now, he told me one sad story that there was a time they put up a joint operation and the officer from the military was to head it, and the governor released 50 million. The governor was not around, but the acting governor, after the meeting, they released 50 million. And the next thing, the man took off and went to Kaduna. That they had to threaten him that, look, they will report to Chief of Army Staff before the man returned, to Zamfara to connect. And unfortunately, too, he said, as we speak today, there are 4 local governments in Zamfara State where residents cannot go 1 meter outside the state, outside the headquarters of the local government.
For fear of these people.
They are there. It's not for fear. They will pick them up. They are there. And he said the governor is not helping matters because even though he's releasing funds to support this work, but he's not always around to coordinate the process.
After listening to...
It's scary.
You're tongue-tied.
It's quite scary. It's quite scary.
Man-made.
Those men, he said, were imported from across the borders in order to actualize a certain dream, a certain cause. After that, they were not taken care of. What did they do? They had to resort to survivor. And that's where this issue of cattle rustling became prominent. Now, what the probable reason why this one was caused, as reports have it, is because there's a particular kingpin, cattle rustling kingpin. The security officers were able to recover no fewer than 480 cows from him. They were able to recover. So, and though he was not arrested, so they got angry. And that was where they now said, for a reprisal attack, is where they now came in anger, shooting sporadically and then killing villagers. Even some of them who were, even in their farm in the afternoon, who were harvesting sweet potatoes, who had nothing to do with cattle, animal husbandry.
Can you imagine such an impunity?
That's what I'm saying. So these people they are killing, they even have nothing to do with animal husbandry. They have no relationship with goats or with hares generally. And they entered because they were angry, but that what they stole were taken back from them. They went killing on the killing spree. So, but what would the security officers do now is the question. The security apparatus in Nigeria is overwhelmed. It's overwhelmed.
Which brings me to Emeka. Emeka, over time, the Nigeria police had been scapegoated, if you see what I mean, because the internal security of any country is the prime duty of the police.
Oh, sure.
The Nigeria police has been castrated deliberately or otherwise over time. This is when you need the police to be at work, because they pick up intelligence and they go to work.
Yeah, but if you still continue to operate the police like, the way it is, without making it functional, to the extent that you make community policing to be effective, there's little or nothing you can achieve. You can't achieve much, because all you do is this. If the nearest police station, in the rural areas, the nearest police station is about 5-10 kilometers away.
From the
If there's
Malaga.
any problem, how can the policemen respond? You go to some police stations, how many policemen are there? How many vehicles are there?
How many guns?
The guns and all of that. And even the personnel themselves, are they motivated? It's not about just increasing salaries. It's also about the fact that people should be motivated enough to take their jobs seriously. So if you bring it down to this Zamfara issue, I think government needs to really take the kind of step that was taken against those those guys that came up in Lagos, in Ikorodu.
Oh, okay, Badu, the Badu boys.
No, not the other set of people who were causing problems in Ikorodu.
Oh, those
that
creeks,
the Nigerian Air Force, the creeks.
Yes,
the Nigerian Air Force had to bomb and bomb them.
And that was the end of it.
Yes, and that was the end.
Yes, and all of them.
The Air Force, I don't know, in all of this, Boko Haram and all of that, the Air Force has not really been... The Air Force has not been punching above its weight. So I think really, it's not just about the police, not just about ground offensive. The air offensive must be intensified.
All told, gentlemen, the politician must help us.
They must.
But they are gaining from the system.
Charles, we are done with the subject matter, but it's a plea, actually a plea from this
You are talking to them, you are talking to people who are getting better.
The politician must help us. Because I hear to the politician, put your rights here, put interest here. The politician in Nigeria is ready to die for his interest than for his rights.
That's what politics is all about.
National interest.
Okay, let's move on. You know, mental health is a subject matter that's taken for granted in our environment, especially where you are not suspected to have a problem until you go berserk or bonkers, as they say. The Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Lagos has raised the alarm. They call it Yaba OC. That's Yaba left. The medical director of that hospital, Dr. Oluwayemi Ogun, reveals that patients with various forms of the disorder, mental disorder, have reached 4,376 in 2018 from 3,591 cases in 2017. Most of the patients are known to have abused banned drugs and substances. Aren't we in trouble here?
We are in trouble, and it's only God that will help us. We only know of
No.
It's
only us that can help us. Leave God out of it.
This statistics is from here, but I tell you, I'm sure if you go to the psychiatric hospital in Kaduna
or in Aro,
I'm sure
you have one there too.
Yes, I'm sure you have the same. I'm sure you have the same. Alarming. Again, that brings us to the issue of begging politicians. Do you know that there are some politicians who allocate money to purchase all these drugs, all these substances for their support for the boys?
Well, gentlemen, we must all agree with him.
Yes,
he was there.
He was with them, so you understand this.
You understand?
For
they
their
actually they actually set aside money to buy those things for them.
Food soldiers.
I think the only man that took the bull by the horn to try to correct that was Sule Lamido when he became governor in Jigawa State. The first thing he did after warning those boys, in fact, he arrested them and clamped them into jail. So some human rights group came from Abuja, Lagos, as usual, and he was asking them, he said, look, he said, you are talking about human rights. Somebody is destroying himself, and you say, I should sit down. What human right are you talking about?
What more rights than that?
But there's no law against being stupid in this country.
But there's a law about destroying yourself.
For the period he was there, he was able to sanitize the state to the extent that some of those boys had to relocate to Kano. Where they welcomed them or accommodated them.
Where the population in Kano is bigger. They could just disappear into the ground.
So our leaders must also help us. For example, they move about with these boys. They know them. I recall before the 2015 election, the president, then he was not yet a candidate. I think he was addressing party supporters, and Shehu Sani came there with his supporters, and they became unruly because then General Saleh, the incumbent senator, Shehu Sani was to challenge him at the primaries, so he was moving with his boys. And the president told them that he doesn't like Siasa Iskanchi, that is, how do I translate this country now? Madness. That this youth.
Madness loosely,
You know,
in a
that,
loose sense.
yes, you know,
Worldliness, yeah.
that he doesn't like it. So I'm sure if our leaders show them that they don't appreciate those things, they will also help us.
Charles, you know, when I got, before I came on air, I asked my colleague, Wale Popopo, give me the name of the musician who released a song called Atini Problem.
No,
Amani problem.
He said, the man
Atini
is,
problem.
reminisce. You know, this woman, the director of Yaba Left is saying that, sorry, National Psychiatric, I'm sorry.
No, Yaba,
not Yaba Left. National, that most of these victims are children of big people.
Yes.
What does it tell you?
Yeah, first of all, before we go the curative, we look at the causative.
Yeah.
What could have been the causes
Yeah.
of children of otherwise homes that are not indigent to now go this way? It's at the heart of this emotion. Most of them, because of the life they live, they don't live communal lives. Yes. You see that
They are reclusive?
They are exactly reclusive. What causes the reclusiveness is because they are restricted. Okay? Their friends are choosing for them. What they will eat, choosing for them.
Where they go.
Where they go, choosing for them. So they can't think for themselves. So there's no openness for them. There's no open field for them to play to exercise their rights and all that. So
they are
exuberance. Yes.
Exactly. So where they see other of their guys who are exorbitant, I mean they live like a happy-go-lucky life.
Out and out,
exactly.
You know.
A happy-go-lucky life, but they are restricted. So whatever little opportunity they get, they overdo it. For instance, most of them, when they go to school, most of these this A-list university, you find that the Aristo they talk about now, most of them are even those girls that you find they go over. They go
runs.
They do runs. We're looking for that word. Runs.
Don't constrain me to tell you what an intern here, a lady, told me from one of the
university.
A-list.
Yes.
She said, "Sir, come to my school and you'll be so amazed at what they do in the name of you know."
Yeah, because you know why? They don't have this opportunity. For instance, in my home now, the children, you allow them to express. They choose their friends. They go to choir practices and so on without being aided, without being guided. But this ones, you must not do that. So by the time they get just a little inch,
Emeka, from another angle, when I was told some of these drugs they abuse and substances they also abuse.
Oh, they go to the absurd, the very absurd.
I can't believe that lizard poo.
That one is small.
Okay, I hear.
There's Colorado. There are all kinds of things.
Colorado.
There are mixtures now.
Then what about septic tank?
Please, here.
No, there are
not to say Emeka knows it.
No, but
there are all kinds of substances. I mean, of course, at times I mix with the hoi polloi, because the journalist, so that you can
get
actually hear from the streets.
So we have gone beyond tramadol.
Oh, tramadol! Oh, come on, tramadol is too. No, come on. That's everything.
I want to get educated here.
Patients, you find patients in hospitals who are under severe pain. They send their relatives to buy tramadol, although it's dispensed in some hospitals, but a nurse in a hospital told me that there was a soldier who was admitted, to their ward. He had an orthopedic case, and then that she noticed, his relative was always sneaking in and slipping some things under his bed. So one day she just, out of curiosity, and then she saw a large quantity of tramadol. And she raised the alarm. That patient was immediately discharged. So you see these things, even factory workers. You see, just watch, you see a lot of youths these days carrying plastic bottles. What do you find in those plastic bottles? So it's also a problem, side by side with the issue of unemployment.
It's taboo to get to attempt to sip a drink of Coke your son is clutching.
Yeah, because you don't know what's
You
inside.
don't know what is inside.
So,
Except
do
if
you
you
want
see.
to, do you want to commit suicide?
Except if you know that son of yours very well.
Unless you're very sure. I
In
mean,
some secondary school, what they do is that they don't allow them to buy coke from outside. It has gone that bad.
it's even
You don't buy
scarce now.
drinks. You don't buy drinks outside.
even scarce.
It is only drinks that are sold within
The school
The school
environment.
That very brand is
that's
even
approved.
scarce. It's scarce now.
So what they do is that
Because of the things people do.
half of the drink they may pour it away and then fill it up with
what
other
they-
things. You think they are
So
sipping,
you see, side by side, the issue of unemployment is this problem of drug
Yes,
abuse.
yes.
It's
And
not
then
it's
again,
not-
and
but-
then
but-
again
but
also,
what do you
again
say
also.
of these security men who take it? Is it unemployment?
No. I said that was
Emotions,
side by
emotions
side.
also there.
Then you find out that Nigerians are under strain.
Under stress,
a
yes.
lot of things.
Economic
Hospitals,
stress.
a lot of people are breaking down. You have so much traffic.
family
You know, the
matters.
family values are breaking down.
Yes.
Marriages are even breaking down. All kinds of things.
Recall the way we started this subject matter. In Nigeria, until somebody fall down, die, they no believe say they sick.
Exactly.
Many
But
of
can
them-
they? How many can afford proper medical care?
Yeah, but
How
I'm
many
talking-
will not
I'm
run
talking
to the
about
local
but
dispensary?
I'm talking about mental health.
But the
It's a
question
gradual
is,
thing.
they
It's a
do
gradual
that.
thing. Do you know? Okay, for instance, someone might be,
Look healthy in
depressed.
quotes,
Someone might be suffering from depression, and all he just does is go to the local, drugstore, get some paracetamol, and take it, and that's all.
Antidepressant.
Or take ibuprofen, and that's all. But the
main issue is
factors pushing that depression are
has not
there
been taken care of.
until
They
the
have not been taken
person
care
breaks
of.
down.
Quickly, how do we close?
Well, one of the ways we can tackle this is one, return back home, family values. Yeah, parents.
It's not too
must-
late.
It's not too late.
Parents should not be absentee. They should be
parents
there.
should know
too late.
who their children are. They must be so that when they are trying to influence them from outside, they can quickly,
it's too late.
correct them.
Because most of the parents we have today, they are microwave parents. Microwave parents in the sense that those
shortcuts.
I'm a parent and I'm not.
I said most of I'm not saying for you. We do
Shortcuts. No, sure.
microwave parents that look, even when they get pregnant fast, they give birth fast, and they don't
They push their children into
what do
school
they
fast.
do? What do they do? They outsource the parenting to other people. Are they the parents you want to run back to? What do you have to teach you?
No, I think government should look into the issue of mental health as a serious national problem. It's not just about abuse of drugs. A lot of people are under pressure. You talked about electricity, power supply, the traffic,
Business not moving well.
jobs. People can't pay rent. People can't even afford medical care. There are a lot of problems. So government needs to really look at this mental health. There should be maybe a national conference.
A sort of emergency.
Yes, on mental health.
Okay then. I cannot forget my colleague. I wonder where he is now. Frank Olise would ask before his program those days, do you know where your daughter is? Can you honestly tell me where your daughter is now? It holds true for all time. Emeka Madonagu, write a Christmas card on air.
Merry Christmas to all viewers of Journalist Hangout, and please continue to watch Journalist Hangout.
Charles.
Compliments of the season to all of you who watch us and then who have decided to rate us as the best station, the best program. Thank you.
Ishmael.
Well, we have seen today. We don't know those who will see tomorrow, but we pray and hope that there will be among those who will see this year's Xmas and witness several other.
Okay. If you are not ready, I am. Christmas is Tuesday, so I'll be here. Let me thank Ishmael Omikwedon for coming, Charles, and of course, Emeka Madonagu.
Thank you very
So
much.
that's
Thank
it.
you.
Our job here is to provoke the debate and allow you to make up your mind. It's all about fixing this country. It is not Buhari's business alone. It's our business. We wish you well. Merry Christmas. That's all on the program. Join us next week for another episode on the program. You can also watch the program on other platforms showing on your screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is the same. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now.